Gen Z is the most educated, most connected generation in history. They've got degrees, digital skills, and more access to knowledge than any generation before them. But when it comes to money, a lot of them are struggling. Even those working full-time can't seem to get ahead. They're drowning in rent, student loans, and rising prices, all while trying to keep up with a world that never slows down. So why is this generation so broke? Why does it feel like no matter how hard they try, the financial finish line keeps moving farther away? It's not about laziness or bad choices. There are real, deep-rooted reasons why Gen Z is facing one of the toughest economic landscapes ever. Let's count down the 10 biggest reasons why Gen Z is so poor and how the system set them up this way. 10. They grew up in crisis mode. Gen Z grew up watching the world fall apart. The 2008 financial crash, the student debt explosion, a global pandemic. All of this happened before many of them even hit adulthood. While previous generations entered a relatively stable economy, Gen Z entered one filled with uncertainty. They saw their parents lose jobs, homes, and savings. They experienced lockdowns, school closures, and emotional stress at critical stages in life. This constant crisis mode shaped how they view money. For many, it's not about building wealth, it's about surviving. Saving for a home or retirement seems like a fantasy when you're just trying to make rent. Their foundation wasn't built on growth, it was built on fear and instability. 9. Wages haven't kept up with the cost of living. Here's the harsh truth. Wages have barely moved, but everything else got more expensive. Rent, groceries, gas, health insurance, it's all gone up, and paychecks haven't kept pace. A starting salary today might be the same as 20 years ago, but rent is double and food costs more than ever. Many Gen Z workers find themselves in jobs that offer no benefits, little stability, and minimal upward mobility. Even those with degrees are often working in underpaid roles. They're doing more work for less money, and that gap keeps growing. 8. College is more expensive and less valuable for years, Gen Z was told. Go to college, get a degree, and you'll be successful. But the cost of college has skyrocketed. In the US, the average student graduates with over $30,000 in debt, sometimes way more. And the payoff? Not what it used to be. Entry-level jobs don't pay enough to match that investment. A degree that once opened doors now feels like a financial burden. Many Gen Z grads work jobs they're overqualified for just to pay off loans that will take decades to clear. The value of higher education hasn't disappeared, but its cost has made it a gamble instead of a guarantee. 7. Housing is practically unaffordable. One of the biggest dreams for any generation is home ownership. For Gen Z, that dream feels far out of reach. In many cities, home prices have doubled or tripled in the last 2 decades. Even renting is becoming unaffordable, especially in urban areas where the jobs are. Some young adults are spending over half their income on rent. That leaves very little for savings, investing, or emergencies. And forget about saving for a down payment. When you're barely making it month to month, home ownership feels impossible. It's not about bad spending habits. It's about being priced out of the market entirely. 6. The job market is more competitive than ever. There are more people with degrees than ever before. That means having a diploma isn't enough anymore. You need experience, skills, connections, and sometimes even unpaid internships just to land a decent job. For Gen Z, getting into the workforce has been like joining a race that already started without them. Many have to accept internships that don't pay, jobs that don't match their qualifications, or positions that don't offer growth. It's frustrating, especially when older generations say, just work harder, as if effort is the only thing that matters. The truth is, the job market has changed, and Gen Z is entering it at a time when the ladder is harder to climb. 5. Everything is a subscription. Now, in the past, you bought something once and owned it. Now it's all monthly payments, from music and movies to software and clothes. Even cars and furniture can be leased on a subscription model. It seems convenient, but it adds up fast. For Gen Z, this means a constant stream of small payments that eat away at their income. A few dollars here and there might not seem like much, but over time, they create a financial drain. It's harder to build wealth when every part of life has been turned into a monthly bill. 4. Social media pressures them to spend more. Social media isn't just about connection anymore, it's about comparison. Gen Z scrolls through perfect lives, luxury vacations, designer outfits, and flashy gadgets daily. Even when they know it's curated, it still creates pressure to keep up. This leads to overspending, emotional shopping, and the feeling that success means showing off. Platforms like TikTok and Instagram have turned everyday life into a competition, and Gen Z is stuck trying to win while broke. It's not about vanity, it's about self-worth and fitting in, but it's costing them more than just money. 3. Mental health issues are draining their energy and resources. Gen Z is more open about mental health than past generations, and that's a good thing. But it also reveals a serious problem. Anxiety, depression, and burnout are widespread. According to surveys, nearly half of Gen Z has taken mental health days due to financial stress. When your mind is overwhelmed, it's hard to focus on budgeting, job hunting, or long-term planning. Therapy, while important, can be expensive, and poor mental health can lead to impulsive spending or avoidance of responsibilities. Gen Z isn't just fighting financial battles, they're also fighting internal ones, and both take a toll. 2. They're doing side hustles just to survive. Side hustles used to be extra income. Now they're often necessary just to make ends meet. Many Gen Z workers juggle freelance gigs, ride-share driving, food delivery, or online work just to stay afloat. But these jobs don't offer benefits, stability, or career growth. It's tiring. You work all day, then work again at night, and still can't save. The hustle culture has turned survival into a full-time job. It's praised as grind mode, but for Gen Z, it's often just the only option they have. They're not chasing luxury, they're chasing rent money. 1. They inherited a broken system. At the core of it all, Gen Z didn't cause these problems. They inherited them. A system of rising inequality, climate crises, shrinking middle class, and political gridlock. The rules that worked for past generations don't work anymore. They were told to work hard, stay in school, and follow the path to success. But that path is now filled with obstacles. It's not that Gen Z is lazy, it's that the game changed, and nobody told them the new rules. They're doing the best they can with the cards they were dealt, and still finding ways to survive, adapt, and push for change. So if you've ever wondered why Gen Z seems broke, now you know. It's not about avocado toast or too much screen time. It's about a system that shifted, leaving an entire generation to rebuild from scratch. And yet, they're not giving up. They're redefining success, creating new paths, and demanding something better. That's not weakness, that's resilience. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe to Rational Wonder for more honest takes on the world we live in. Thanks for watching. And remember, understanding the problem is the first step toward change.